Hello everybody, and welcome to the second installment of my Kingdom Rush Alliance Fresh Save Impossible Difficulty playthrough. Now I have a question for everybody immediately. Should I be doing the campaigns, heroics, and irons all in the same video? Or should I be splitting them up like I've done so far, where I did the campaign level only first, and then combined the heroics and irons into this next episode? I can do that for every single one of these, and then I should have 31 episodes total, but I could also just combine them, and then not counting this, I should have a total of another 15 episodes. It would just make them about twice as long, because I feel like the campaigns are about as long as the heroics and the irons in this game. I like that the heroics and irons are a little bit on the longer side, but we'll see if they start to get a little too boring as we continue to go along here. And in fact, I have to point out that these heroics and irons here were actually pretty decently challenging. I gotta hand it to Ironhide, although they didn't intend for you to be able to play Impossible mode from a fresh save, so maybe I shouldn't give them too much credit, but you actually have to try here. I'm not gonna say this is the most difficult thing ever, but you won't just win by doing a brain dead strategy where you don't do anything. You could argue that this is brain dead. You could draw the line at what counts for difficulty until the end of time. So I'm not gonna get down in the mud and fight about that. But what I will say is that you can't win by just placing any tower down. You actually have to try here, and you'll see in the way that I tried. I actually was testing out whether or not you could use like the tri-cannon here, and the tri-cannon is straight up doo-doo. It is booty cheeks, or bedank a dank, as my sister says. I was appalled by how bad it is at level 1. Then again, though, that tower, from what I have seen and tested with, is just the tower that you get all the way up to bombardment right away, and that's it. Kind of reminds me of the dwarf, where you kind of need it to have furnace blast, or else it's kind of poop. But at least you get level 1 through 3 artillery before you get your dwarf, so it's not that bad like that either. Tri-cannon is quite a bit worse, where you specifically need to get that gold up. So it's kind of only good in the levels where you have enough money to afford that. Otherwise, it will just be a waste of gold, and then you have a horrible tower. So the lower tiers definitely ought to be buffed. But the point of me saying all this is not just to trash on the tri-cannon, the trash cannon. It's also to say that I actually leveled up Vesper while doing an attempt. Realized that attempt was really awful because like an enemy was about to leak due to the tri-cannon's trashiness. And I went back and edited my save file, so that way the hero would be at level 1 again, with about the same XP that I had to start with. Now, I'm not sure if anybody cares about me doing that, but it's something that I personally want to do as a part of the rules set for this challenge run. So, if I fail on the attempts multiple times, I'm just going to go back and reset the hero XP, so that way I don't get level 10 heroes too early and then kind of cheese the level that way. Now, one thing that I did do a little bit more strategically is take advantage of the fact that I can actually build barracks in this level, because level 1 barracks will probably always be the strongest tower in every single one of these games. And did this first instead of the iron, when normally I would do the iron first, because if you're not sure how to beat a difficult stage, doing the iron is a good way for you to like narrow down what towers will actually work. Because a lot of these levels are kind of lazily made, I'll be honest, and you can do pretty much the same strategy on all modes. Same thing with the campaign as well, like you can just copy the campaign strategy and do it on the heroic and iron perhaps. But sometimes the iron is, or sometimes the heroic and irons are a little bit more difficult than the campaign, so what you did with the campaign might be just a little bit less optimal and therefore won't work, so you can narrow it down by making sure it works on the iron. But in this case, I strategically made sure that I did this one first, so that way I could get Vesper to level 2, and then could do the iron with him at a higher level. That way, I would be able to actually like kill the enemies there, because if I didn't have the damage efficiency of disengage, I'm not sure if this would actually be possible. But regardless, you'll see how this goes. Now, this stage is just like the basic unarmored pig enemies until you eventually get to the slightly more powerful armored enemies, which is why I'm going for exclusively mages as the damaging tower. There's no magic resistance to necessitate anything better than that. And over here, while I was playing the level, I actually did move Vesper, and you'll see that when he respawns, he's going to trigger his dialogue for moving and listen to my move orders immediately upon respawning, instead of me moving him first, and then he does all that as proof that he has some sort of death steam moment where he died before listening to me ordering him to move. It's something that I thought that I noticed in the past, but wasn't entirely sure was happening. Over there, you can see me considering building a Paladin barracks. A Paladin Covenant, my bad. I talked over him doing his thing, but I believe I heard 2 lines of dialogue from him there. So that's that's the extent of my proof that I did try to move him out of the way before he died here. But yeah, all in all, this one didn't require too much strategy. Just abuse the efficiency of level 1 barracks, and then when you need some damage, you use the mages there. Also purposefully trying to get some of the enemies to move past part of the towers, so that way the other towers would be able to shoot at them. Because if you know that the towers are strong enough to finish off those enemies, then it's more efficient to let all of them use their range to their fullest capacity. Every single tower that you build should be attacking at all times if you want to be as efficient as possible. So that's something that I'm going to utilize in the Iron quite a lot as well. But other than that, there's not too much to say about these early levels, so I'm just going to go straight into doing the Q&A stuff that I have saved from the previous video. So you can just consider this my the follow-up to that, finally, many years later. So the first question I have here is, are you the real Morgan's son? The answer to that is no. I have no relation to any of the other people that post stuff on YouTube about Kingdom Rush. Maybe someday I can convince someone in my family to do this with me, but the chances of that happening anytime soon are pretty slim. And as you can see, I was already purposefully letting some of the pigs through so that they could get shot at. Like right there, I moved the reinforcements all the way back to these big enemies that are at the back, so that way they could be blocked in range of the first mage, while the other mage can handle those guys. And then it's also important to try to use your hero spell as often as possible, because otherwise you just might not get the you might not get as much total damage if you save it for too long. As much as I like to save up skills to be used optimally, it still is more optimal, or like you'll get more total damage throughout the level if you use them more frequently rather than specifically at every single moment that is like 300 damage or more, stuff like that. So now my gameplay with Vesper is specifically to keep him at low HP, so that way he can always be able to use Disengage. He just needs to be at 40% HP. If I can see his HP stat, then I can see what that number needs to be, but literally just multiply his health by 4. It's 175, right? So 330, and then 66. Yeah, anyways though, or sorry, what am I talking about? 350, and then 700, so 70 HP. Ooh, silly me. Anyways though, other questions that I got were about if I have a Facebook and if I could share that, but I don't have Facebook, and I almost certainly never will. Another question I got was, why the name Voduke? So, I was playing LEGO Star Wars The Complete Saga, and there was like a character creator thingy that you could use there. I made a evil looking Sith guy and needed to come up with a name that sounded evil, and in my word bank, the evil letters are stuff like V and Z and S, so I just used V to come up with the name Voduke, and I just decided to stick with that because on other accounts, I didn't need to put like a number on that because Voduke was not taken by anything. So I just used Voduke as my username. Looks like that's all the time that I have for questions already, so we'll just wait until the next one so I can answer some more. And if you have other questions, as well as answers to the questions that I asked at the beginning of this video, please leave a comment about that below. Thanks everybody.